Dear students, I am Dr. Kumar, Assistant Professor of Zoology, Government First Grade College, Shira. The topic of today's lecture is vectors of order Diptera, which comes under paper 4, that is insect vectors and diseases. As all of you know that Diptera, that is we have discussed the order Diptera under the classification. Di means two, terra that is means having true wings. They are otherwise designated as true flyers. They are the true flies. Okay, they are having a pair of wings present attached to the thoracic region. Okay, and another pair of the wings, they are otherwise called as halters, which are present attached to the metathoracic region, and usually these halters, they play a very important role in maintaining the body balance during the flight. Okay, so these true dipterans, they plays a very important role as far as the transmission of the potential disease causing agent or the pathogen or the parasites from one person to the another person. Okay, they are having the smaller body and they are the active flyers, so they usually transmit the potential the pathogens from one person to another person, and in this way they act as the vectors. Dipterans are the insects containing two-winged, or they are so-called true flyers. One of the Diptera is one of the largest insect orders. It numbers more than 125,000 species and are relatively small in size with soft body. Although the mouth parts of the flies are of sucking type, many flies are of great economic importance and they are beneficial as far as the mankind is concerned. Okay, so they are beneficial in terms of they functions as scavengers. That means they feed on dead and decaying matter, so that they usually remove foul smell from the environment. Some of the dipterans acts as predators. They feed on the other organisms. Some of them acts as parasites, and some of the dipterans can also act as pollinators of plants. Okay, and some of the dipterans, they destroy the weeds in the environment. In this way, some of the dipteran flies acts as beneficial to the mankind. Dipterans fall into three large groups, that is Nematocera, Brachycera and Cyclorapa. So examples are the crane flies, midges, gnats and mosquitoes for Nematocera, and Brachycera examples flies, robber flies, bee flies, etc. So to the another last group, that is Cyclorapa, the flies that breed in the vegetable environment and also the vegetable or the animal material. Okay, so the reproduction that takes place on the vegetables and also the animal material, both living as well as the dead organisms. As far as the importance is concerned, the abundance of these flies, because 125,000 known species are categorized, they are very abundant in number. Okay, so cosmopolitan distribution, worldwide distribution, and the habit of the flies combine to make them nuisance to the human beings. Since these are the small active flyers and they are usually present in the environment as far as the human beings are concerned, these flies can also be present in the houses also, okay, including the mosquito and other active flyers. The sweat flies and the face flies. The sweat flies and the face flies gather around the eyes, nose and the mouth, and also the suck blood and also the pus from the wounds and also the sores. Such flies move constantly from one person to the another person, and in doing so they may at times of transfer of diseases causing organisms. So they usually move from one person to the another person in the houses, while doing or while flying from one person to another person, they usually, since they act as vectors, they can easily transmit the disease causing agent or the pathogen from one person to the another person. The housefly, as you have seen, the Musca domestica, that can be dangerous because it moves from one person to the food, drinks, garbages, carrions, and also sometimes the feces. Okay, so by transferring the infective organisms from decomposing material or from the infected people, the houseflies are the agents in transmitting various diseases like typhoid, dysentery, cholera, diarrhea in children, and intestinal viruses, and also the bacteria which causes the different diseases. The housefly, this slide shows the housefly which is present in the environment, which feeds on various substances which are present in the environment, and which sits on each and every part of the environment as well as in the residential area and also in the houses. So in doing so, it usually transmit the disease causing agent from one place to the another place. Blood sucking flies can also, they are also true flies, comes under Diptera. The blood sucking flies like mosquitoes, black flies, sand flies, horse flies, etc. They evolved the mandible and maxillae as a part of the mouth parts, and they are blade like, and piercing stylets can also be seen in the mouth parts. That is, the needle like stylet is present, and this is very essential for making the puncture of the skin in order to draw or suck the blood from the host body. So these piercing organs are developed only in females, only in the female mosquitoes, which uses the blood protein in egg production. Males do not feed on the blood. Males are not the blood sucking here as far as the true dipterans are concerned. The mosquitoes. TSC flies also belongs to the same order Diptera. TSC flies, that they are the stable flies or the biting house flies, and certain parasitic flies, they have developed a hard drill-like labium. So that means the lower lid is accordingly modified in order to form the stylet. So, and this stylet is somewhat needle-like structure, quite hard and drill-like. It will be helpful in making the host skin puncture the labium to replace the soft sponge-like the comb. Both the males and females have evolved this labium, and both of them, they are feed on the blood. As far as TSC flies are concerned, both male and female feed on the blood. Whereas the mosquitoes are concerned, so only the female mosquitoes are usually feeding on the blood. A few flies related to the housefly have a spongy proboscis equipped with small teeth for rasping skin around wounds and sores to increase the flow of blood and lymph. The other groups like robber flies, they have developed a piercing proboscis. Piercing proboscis used only against other insects in order to suck the blood. During flying from one person to the another person, so these dipterans, they can easily transmit the parasites or the pathogen from one person to the another person through the blood meal. Okay, so that can be picked up by the flies, that is disease causing agent is picked up by infected person, inserting its proboscis into the infected person. So this the disease may then be transmitted to another person when their skin is pierced by the blood sucking fly, which injects its saliva into the wound. This is true, very true, when the blood sucking insects, they once they taking the blood meal from the infected person, so naturally the infectious agent, the disease causing agent, enters into the body of the mosquito. When the same mosquito bites the another potential healthy human being, naturally from the saliva, okay, it will be injected into the other healthy person also, so thereby causing or transmitting the disease causing agent to the healthy person, so that the healthy person becomes sick. So without the anticoagulant properties of the saliva, blood sucking would be impossible, since the tiny hole drilled by the proboscis would clog with clotted blood. Another important aspect as far as the blood sucking insects are concerned, so once they pierces its mouth parts, the stylet or the proboscis, into the host skin by puncturing the skin, okay, so at the same time they usually pass the saliva with anticoagulant substance. Once it passes the anticoagulant substance, it usually prevents the blood clotting. Okay, so once the clotting is prevented from the anticoagulant substance which is present in the saliva, the blood will be continuously oozes out from the host body into the vector's body. During that process, once the saliva is inserted into the host body, the disease causing agent or the pathogen naturally and normally enters into the blood circulation of the human beings. Right. If the mouthparts are contaminated with the blood and contains microorganisms, they can be injected along with the saliva into the other person also. This is called direct transmission of disease. One contagious disease that might be spread this way is tularemia, where it causes by the bacterium found in the wild rodents like a rat, mice, squirrel, etc. Surra, a disease of horses and camels in the Middle East and certain parts of Asia, is caused by a protozoan Trypanosoma avanci and is transmitted by the horse flies. Trypanosomes transmitted by TSC flies cause sleeping sickness in human beings. These trypanosomes must spend a part of their life cycle in the insect before they can infect the vertebrate. This is an example of cyclic disease transmission. This is very much operating in the insect, where sometimes the disease causing agent or the pathogen, it undergoes some sort of development, what is called as incubation period. Once the disease causing agent enters into the body of the vectors, it undergoes some sort of development. It passes some developmental stages in the body of the vector. After then only the infectious agent become active and it can be able to spread the disease by completing the certain stages of life cycle in the body of the vector, what is called as cyclic disease transmission. Cyclically transmitted diseases are malaria, yellow fever, filariasis, encephalitis and other viral diseases, where once the disease causing enters into the body of the vector, okay, in the vector's body or the host body, so this disease causing agent undergoes some sort of development. That means it completes its certain stages of life cycle of its own. Okay, so during this is what is called as cyclical disease transmission. This cyclical disease transmission can be seen in malaria, yellow fever, filariasis, encephalitis and other viral diseases. Malaria, as far as the malaria is concerned, it is cyclically transmitted disease through the mosquito, and the intermediate host is the man. The plasmodium is the causative agent of human malaria. It is nourished by the red blood cells in the human blood. Occasionally, the sexual forms occurs in the victim's blood. Usually the sexual forums are formed in the body of the vector, that is the mosquito. Very occasionally these sexual forums can also be seen in the victim's blood. If this forum finds its way into the suitable species of blood-sucking mosquito, another stage of plasmodium begins, preparing the organism to infect another human being bitten by the same mosquito to the another host. So this is all about the vectors of Diptera, and these are the reference material along with the link. Dear students, so this is the time of COVID-19 pandemic, and second wave is being operating now. Most of the cases are reporting on a daily basis, and most of them, they loses their lives. Okay, don't go outside. Okay, even if you feel unavoidable, you have to go outside, then go. By taking appropriate measures, that is the protective measures. Wash your hands, okay, with soap. Use sanitizers, use the face covering or the face mask, and maintain social distancing whenever you are there outside. Okay, stay home, stay safe, save lives. Thank you.